Hello and welcome to another Facebook Live with Monica and Craig. Hi, Monica. How are you doing?
Fine. And you?
Very well, thank you. It's good to see you again. And if you're watching the replay of this Facebook Live, thank you very much for spending your time with us. Hopefully some people will join us soon in the live chat. Monica, what are we speaking about today?
We are speaking about something very useful and it's 14 useful business expressions, no? Business expressions that you can use at your job, of course. So kind of idiomatic expressions that if you hear them, perhaps you're not going to understand them. So it's important to explain the definition and then give an example.
So if you can join us and give examples as we're giving you our examples and practice these expressions with us in the chat, then it will help you to remember them and then hopefully use them in conversation. And they're not only specifically used for business, they're very commonly found in business English, but you can also use a lot of these expressions in everyday conversation.
Hello, Gemma. I was saying hello. I was waving to her. Gemma is a very loyal follower.
Hi, Gemma. You're always first. It's lovely to see you again. Welcome.
So today we're going to work with these expressions. And the first one...
Shall we kick off with the first one?
Yeah, kick off. I remember this expression very well because I remember many years ago, I went to a meeting and my other job as a lawyer, and it said, kick off. It was in Brussels. And I remember there was this like a notice board where they put, where they gave explanations where you had to go. And there was one big sign that said, kick off meeting. And I thought it was a very funny expression because kick off, it comes from football actually. And to kick is dar una patada. So you might think, what does it have to do, dar una patada, with meeting? And the meaning is to start, because when you kick off the game in a football match, is when you start the match, the game, no?
Yeah.
And that can be used in business, but can also be used in everyday language, no? Because, for example, we are at a dinner and we say to the people, our guests, let's kick off with some nice music. So you don't need also any other word next to kick off because you already understand that is to start, no? To start. Okay, so...
And also to get the ball rolling is also from football. And it means exactly the same thing, because at the beginning of a game of football, you kick the ball and the ball starts rolling. So to get the ball rolling means to start something. And it kind of comes as a suggestion with let's, which is a contraction of let us. So let's kick off, or let's get the ball rolling means let's start. And that's very common in business meetings, because usually there's some small talk at the beginning. How was your weekend? How are you doing? How are the children? Blah, blah, blah. And then someone will say, okay, let's kick off. Let's get the ball rolling, which means let's get down to business.
So we're going to say hello to Claudia, Norma, and Francisco, who just joined. Okay, so welcome. We're looking at Luis from Peru.
And Luis from Peru, hi.
So to kick off and to get the ball rolling, exactly the same, taken from football, like many of these expressions, because the next one we have is also, this is a funny expression. Well, you can explain it, but I wanted to make a comment on this too. Okay.
So to give someone a heads up, if your head is down and you lift your head up, then you start to see things, you're awake, you're open to things. So if there's some warning or some special advice or something that somebody needs to know, you give them a heads up. And an example from last week, we had to change the clock, didn't we, from summertime to wintertime. So the clocks went back 1 hour. and I completely forgot. But thankfully, my sister phoned me and she said on Saturday, "Hey, Craig, don't forget to put your clock back 1 hour when you go to bed." And I said, "Oh, yeah, wow, thanks for the heads up," which means thanks for telling me, thanks for giving me the news, because I totally forgot. So that's one way of thanking somebody for telling you something or giving you news, is to say, "Hey, thanks for the heads up."
Yeah, it can be confusing, because if you think heads up, it means just to pay more attention. No, it's like you're lifting your head. No, I think it also comes from sports. The idea is also like to warn someone, like you're looking what is happening, and you can use it in the business context. For example, the manager gave me a heads up about my performance issues, and I knew I was going to get a bad rating, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So me avisó. That means avisar. To give someone a heads up means avisar o dar un aviso. So that's the meaning of this expression. But if you don't know it, it's very difficult to understand it, because what is heading up? Like looking, or what does it mean? Well, it's avisar.
Someone gave me a heads up last week because of the problems with the coronavirus. Our school have fewer students, and they're reducing the number of hours that the teachers are teaching. So my boss gave me the heads up last week that the teachers from November will be on an ERTE, which is furlough in English, which means that our hours and our salary is going to be reduced. So she gave me the heads up that bad news is coming and we're going to be working fewer hours. There's a similar example also from sports, and it's kind of similar. When you keep your eye on the ball, means you're watching what's happening, you're awake, your head's up, you're awake, you're watching things. So keep your eye on the ball means be alert, be awake, and notice what's happening.
Yeah, I wanted to say hello to, let me see, Rob Ortela, Eric Carrillo, Luis Benedicto, Graciela Solar, Yasmin Salinas, Isabel, Andres, okay, from Spain. These are the last ones I'm seeing here.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining, yes. The next one then, I think this is clear, no? Next one is a pain point.
What's a pain point? What is that?
A pain point. Pain means dolor, and point, punto. So a pain point. What kind of pain point? It's something that is, it means something weak, something that is not strong. So it can be used, like Craig said, it can be used in daily language and also in business context. For example, I could say, battery life is a prime for smartphones users. So it's a main problem. It's the weakest part, battery life. So el punto débil de smartphones is la batería. That's one example.
Why don't we ask, Monica, why don't we ask the students who are watching this, what is their pain point when they're learning English?
Okay.
What's your pain point? Is it phrasal verbs? Is it grammar? Is it speaking? Is it listening? What's your pain point when you're studying English? Maybe you could write that for us in the chat room. Mm-hmm. We would like to know what the most difficult thing is for you when you're learning English, your pain point.
Craig, what's your pain point for teaching English?
For me, teaching, I can think of two. The first one is to find what the students are interested in so that they can do a lot of self-study that they enjoy. For example, many students study English because they need the exam, because their parents tell them they must study, because their boss tells them they need a qualification. So they really don't have a lot of intrinsic motivation. They don't really want to study because they don't enjoy it. But if you can find for the student what they like to do, what their hobbies are, then you can find podcasts for them. You can find books and blogs for them to look at and read, and then they'll practice English with more pleasure. So my pain point as a teacher is finding that way in so that the student learns English in a more enjoyable way, and then they'll learn a lot faster and a lot more effectively. That's one point.
Here we have some examples, no? Speaking, Rob Portela says speaking is a pain. Speaking is a pain point for most students because they have learned English with written English or reading and not speaking. So it is usually a pain point.
Eric is asking, is it like an Achilles heel? Yes, it is. It's very similar to having an Achilles heel. The weak point.
It's a good idea to translate it like that. I never thought that, because I was going to say el punto débil, no?
Yeah.
But it's a good metaphor, no? Phrasal verbs, Claudio says, phrasal verbs are a pain point for my students. Okay, phrasal verbs.
For mine as well, Claudia. It's the same.
Phrasal verbs are for everybody.
A big pain point,
pain point. It's a funny word.
Just want to say hi to Sergio, who's joining us from South Sudan, originally from Argentina. Hi, Sergio. Thanks for joining. I hope you're safe over there, because I know it's a very problematic country to be in at the moment. So I hope you're staying safe over there in Sudan, in South Sudan. And Hema says, for me, speaking. Yep. Well, if you want to speak with us, Hema, you can come and join us later. I'm going to put a link soon to join us if you want to come in and practice your English speaking. It's a great chance to practice and say hi and tell us how you're doing and how you're managing where you are and what your pain points are. What's the next one? Let's see. Is this me or you, Monica?
I think it's you, because I was supposed to do pain point. We both spoke about pain point, but well,
I stole it from you.
We can do it together, because to bring up to speed, to get up to speed.
So to get up to speed is to estar al día, to find out what's happening at the moment and what is new in something. For example, if I said to Monica, can you bring us up to speed with what's happening on your blog and your YouTube channel? Have you been creating any new material? What can people see if they go to your blog and your YouTube channel? Because I'm sure the students want to get up to speed on what you've been doing recently. So can you bring them up to speed?
Bring someone up to speed. Okay, I just posted something about how to teach in English. And no, I haven't posted. I have it ready. Okay. I'm also posting for free the FITA course. So I'm in lesson number 10. And
I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah.
I saw you posted that on Twitter to bring people up to speed.
Yes. And you have some products or new product you probably want to tell us about, no?
I can bring the people up to speed on that. Yeah, we've just released in our store at store.mansioningles.com a course that we're very proud of, we're very pleased with. It's a pronunciation course for Spanish speakers. So if you're interested in improving your pronunciation and you would like to do a listening course with a PDF transcription also, it will help you with typical mistakes that Spanish speakers make when they're speaking English. In particular, ed endings on regular verbs, silent letters, problems with vowel sounds like beer and bear and beard, those kind of words, silent letters, all sorts of pronunciation problems that Spanish speakers tend to have when they're speaking English. So if you're interested, go and have a look. There's more information on the website. And I thought I would bring you up to speed on our latest course, store.mansioningles.net.
To bring someone up to speed, we have to say it again, because it's difficult to remember that expression if you don't repeat it. It's not so easy, because it's many verbs and prepositions, and to get up to speed or to bring someone up to speed. So
Yeah, because of the pronoun there
Yes.
after bring up. So bring up is the phrasal verb. You can separate the phrasal verb with a pronoun. So you would say to the boss would say to you, hey, Craig, can you bring me up to speed on what you've done this week, for example? So just tell me what you've done. Bring me up to speed.
Es informar. The meaning of this expression in Spanish is informar.
Yes.
So, hi, Claudia. And Norma, she says, I love this English class.
Thank you, Norma.
Thank you. So now we have...
To green light something or to give the go ahead is what it means.
Green light something. This is very easy to learn because
traffic lights.
Because of the traffic light, yeah. Because if you have a green light, you can go, right? So it means to give permission to do something. So, for example, Craig gave me the green light or gave me the go ahead. This is a very similar expression. To, for example, to share my screen with the audience in this Facebook Live, because he now has the command. Right? When he's the person who is on, let's see, your left side, that's the one that has the command of all the tools, no? No, he has the command.
No, it's that way. It's the opposite way.
Give me the go ahead, a green light, no? To share my screen, for example. To share my screen. Usually there's one person that is administering all these tools. And so to give the go ahead. Go ahead. It means ir con la cabeza primero, to allow, to give permission. Very easy in Spanish to say that because it's the same word, to give permission. So
I gave myself the green light to buy something this week.
Yeah, okay, to give yourself the... And
it's true.
And
true.
It's true. But do you need to give yourself a green light?
Yes, because, I mean, we're not living in a time where we can spend money without thinking.
Yeah.
Because the future is quite uncertain, and I think we have to be very careful about what we buy. But for a long time, for years and years and years, ever since my bicycle was stolen, I've wanted a new bicycle. And I'm a little nervous about traveling on public transport because of the coronavirus. So this week I gave myself the green light to buy a folding bicycle. So I can fold the bicycle, keep it here in my flat, which is very small. And then when I want to do exercise or I want to go to the school to teach, I can unfold the bicycle and I can ride to work and do some exercise. And I've wanted a bicycle because Valencia's perfect for cycling. It's flat, the weather's great. And I gave myself the green light to spend the money because I haven't been on holiday this year. I'm feeling a bit depressed because I'm always working at a computer. So I think I'm going to give myself the green light and buy a bicycle.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a very good idea. Yeah. You live in a very nice place and you can go biking.
It's not as cold as Madrid here.
No. Madrid is to be snowed under. Okay, that's for you or for me? I don't know. Snowed under. I am going to say just the Spanish translation because I looked it up. Okay.
What is it? What is it?
Estar con el agua al cuello. That's funny because this is if you're snowed under. It's the same idea with the snow, but because in a country like Spain doesn't snow too much, probably we don't know it. But in countries where there is a lot of snow, you know exactly what is to be snowed under. Is
the Spanish translation only connected to work? Because if you're hasta el cuello...
No, it can be anything.
Because snowed under is usually connected to work in English. It's usually when you have so much work that it's on top of you and it's covering you and you're really, really busy.
Yeah.
And it's usually connected to work.
So I feel snowed under with all the work I have to do, for example. That would be an example. I feel snowed under with all the work. No, in Spanish, estar estar con hasta el cuello, es con el agua al cuello, estar hasta el cuello. I think you can use it with other things, but it's true. Maybe it's
you can use it financially as well, can't you? If you don't have much money.
Oh, yeah, it could be. Es que con el agua could be in many things, pero estoy hasta el cuello probably is about activities. I'm thinking, yes. Estoy hasta el cuello de cosas, don't. So estar hasta neck. So it's the same idea also.
Are you snowed under at work at the moment?
No, not really. Nothing compared to what I used to have, because I also lost one of my jobs. So it's the situation is not very good. So you have to be positive and well, keep fingers crossed that it doesn't get worse. So yeah. I don't really feel snowed under. I feel quite well in regards of the amount of work I have to do, because I've worked so much that now whenever I have less work, I think, oh, there's these holidays. So it's what you are used to. I'm used to working very hard. So to be snowed under. Again, Virginia, thanks to you for coming. Says, thanks for your class. It's amazing. And Pelón de la Nación, still, hello. And Elena, yeah, we are snowed under because of COVID-19. Yeah, well. With
again,
work.
If you're very, very busy, Elena, then yes, but yes. Not if it doesn't only mean you're closed in your house. It means that you have a lot of work. So, for example, the medical professionals, nurses, doctors, people working in ICUs, in emergency hospitals, they are snowed under in many parts of Spain at the moment, in many parts of the world because of COVID-19. So medical staff are snowed under, definitely. Yeah. To cut corners.
¿Estar harto de? No. Estar harto no. Es más bien to have too much work. No estar harto. To estar harto sería to be fed up. That you don't want
to be fed up.
Okay. I like this one, to cut corners. There are some people.
You take it.
There are some people who are always cutting corners. Okay. So here is also very specific, this expression, because cut corner means that you are going to do something because you think is the cheapest way or because you think is the shortest way to do something. It's like a shortcut, but the result is not going to be very good.
No.
So the idea is like tomar un atajo, but in Spanish we don't have an expression like that. So, but in this case, cut corners, it means that you get to a point avoiding the corner. So avoiding to do the extra work, and which usually brings quality. So if somebody is cutting corners, as they say, it's just at work because of that. If somebody is cutting corners in a project, for example, means that they are not really fully working in the project with all the consequences and getting a good result. So if you cut corners, it's not very good.
No, it's definitely negative. And this is, for example, this is a corner.
Yeah.
And this is the literal meaning, is to cut the corner.
Yeah.
But the idiomatic meaning, as Monica's explaining, is to do something badly to save time or money. And my father had an expression. He always used to say, if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well, which is the opposite of cutting corners, because if you cut corners, you don't do the job well. You try to do it quickly, and the finished result is poor. It's not a good result if you cut corners.
But it's a funny expression, no? Because it's literally cut corners, no? So some people are always cutting corners. And also with English, you have to work hard. You cannot cut corners with English, because if
no easy way. Yeah.
No, it doesn't. You finally don't speak fluently. You need to work on it. Sí, Ro Portela says, hacer una chapuza en el trabajo. Right. Good.
Yeah.
That's the idea.
Good. That's it, Ro.
Yeah, that's to cut corner. But you see that hacer una chapuza en el trabajo is much longer. It's not really an expression. It's all the explanation. It's really an explanation. Okay.
Okay, I know that in Spain you have kilometers, and in the UK and in the US they speak about miles. Is it 2.2 kilometers to a mile? Anyway, if you go the extra mile, then you make a special effort to do something. For example, you do more than you are required to do. For example, I know that when Monica writes her blog posts, she doesn't write it quickly. She doesn't cut corners. She spends a lot of time, puts a lot of love into explaining everything very carefully with images. So Monica really goes the extra mile when she writes blog posts to explain English for you. So it's to do something extra to help someone by making an effort, a special effort for something.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, Eric said tomar el camino corto and cut corners. Well, this is also an explanation. It's okay. And Virginia says Pujol's family is cutting corners. No.
Who's Pujol?
Pujol, the former president of Catalonia in the 1820s.
Okay.
But I don't really. Well, it depends on how you use the expression. I think you need a more explanation. Tomar el camino más corto, tomar el camino más corto, very similar.
And as Eric said, to do more expected is a good explanation.
The extra mile, to go the
extra mile.
I would say that hacer un esfuerzo is the opposite of to cut corners. Elena asks, to go the extra mile. Yes, it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah, it could be.
Yes.
Yeah.
To go the extra mile, if you go the extra mile, is that you make more effort. And usually when you go the extra mile, there is some kind of reward. So, because most people tend to do the things average. No, just, okay, let's just do it. But if you do a little bit more than the rest, there will be a reward. Not always, but sometimes there will be a reward, right?
And it doesn't happen very often these days, but sometimes with customer service, if you buy something or if you pay for something and the company gives you more than you expect, you really appreciate that they have gone the extra mile to make you pleased with your purchase, make you pleased with the service or product. So it's really good policy if a company goes the extra mile. Unfortunately, we don't see that very often these days.
No, because it's low cost. Everything is low cost, and so nobody works a little bit extra. In a nutshell, also I like this one, but I don't know. I think, is it my turn or your turn?
You take it. If you like it, you take it.
Nutshell is very. I like it because it's very graphic. In a nutshell, is just as a summary. A summary. Yeah. A nutshell is una cáscara de nueces, no, and it's very small. And you see, when I went to university in the States, I used to buy books that were called, the name were called Nutshell. So, for example, International Law in a Nutshell. So it was a summary of international law. And many people bought this so that you wouldn't have to read the whole book, because usually these books are very big. So you just buy a small book that contains the summary. So in a nutshell, it means in brief, in a few words. So, for example, in a nutshell, Craig has a very good pronunciation course, okay? Because he worked very hard on it, and it's inexpensive. So you can get it at the store in a nutshell, okay?
Or I could say that the course is pronunciation in a nutshell.
Also, because it's a summary of all what you need to know about pronunciation in English, right?
Well, not everything, but a lot of things.
A lot of things, or the main things for Spanish speakers, which is also very important, because there's a difference between teaching English to a German or teaching English to a Chinese.
Have different pronunciation problems.
Because, yeah, they have different. So the books out there, Many of the English books out there don't cover these specific problems. You have to go to Craig to get that, to mention in English. The very specific problems, okay?
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell. In a nutshell.
A very similar expression is the bottom line, because the bottom line also can mean a summary of something. How would you say summary in Spanish?
No, in this case, I have one, el balance final is also like the conclusion. Like
the conclusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the bottom line. Okay, the bottom line is that we didn't do a good job. Okay, for example.
In a nutshell.
In a nutshell.
But
we were
originally,
in business. I was trying to think of a sentence in business.
Well, it actually comes from accountancy, because when you have numbers and figures and you have the profit a company makes and the loss the company makes, the positive and the negative, then you calculate all the costs and then you have the bottom line. The bottom line is, did you make money or did you lose money? Exactly. After all the expenses and everything?
In Spanish, I'm saying el balance final. I'm saying that actually from accounting. So did you lose or did you get money? Did you make money?
So it's very common in business for that reason, that it's the bottom line, it's the final calculation, but you can also use it in the sense of in conclusion. So the bottom line is we need to take this action, or the bottom line is we need to spend more money on social media. So it's the conclusion or summary of what you've said.
Next one is
informe final, says Katy. Yeah. Resumen. That was it, Gemma. That was the word I was looking for summary. Resumen. Yeah, exactly. And Elena says, no sería el final touch. I wouldn't say the final touch. No.
It's just like I said, that it's balance final, como en conclusión, pero no broche final, because eso sería final touch, sí. El broche final is the final touch.
But in English, I wouldn't say the final touch. I would say the bottom line. Or,
no, we are talking, the bottom line is a different expression. No?
Yes.
The broche final means something that you do that makes the thing that you're making like masterpiece.
Yes. To put the final touch on something. No, that's a different meaning, Elena. That's a different use.
Yeah, I think that's what she means, but it's nothing to do with bottom line. That is just balance final, the conclusion. And then we have the next one, the big picture. The big picture is very easy to understand, because in Spanish, this is la visión global. So you need, many times, to make a decision, you need to have the view of the big picture. Now, for example, now with COVID, many of the problems we have is because we don't have the big picture. We don't see all the thing in a big context. We just see one little thing that we have in front. So that is mainly the idea. So it's very, I think this expression is very easy to see, because you can imagine a big picture, like a map, where you can see all the details. And a small picture, there isn't an expression with a small picture, but just for you to remember, small picture would just be to see what you have in front, not to see the whole view that is in front of you. And that is in Spanish, la visión global del asunto. This is used in business too. Let me see the big picture. I don't want to hear all this. At first, I want to see everything. No? I want to see what is the situation in order to make a decision. No?
And not to speak too much about politics, but the problem with many politicians and governments is they only see the small picture, because they tend to be in power for maybe 4 years. And 4 years is not a lot of time to create things that last in the long term. So the big picture is very similar to speaking about the long term. You have the short term and the long term. The long term is many, many, many years in the future. So the problem with many governments is they only see the short term. They don't see the big picture, especially with things like global warming and the global economy and things like that, and nature and animals. They don't see the big picture.
Yes.
We're getting very or fairly close to finishing. So I'm going to put a link in the chat room if you would like to come and chat with us and join us and say hi and tell us where you're from, and try to use maybe one or two of these expressions. So if you want to do that, I've just put the link. Here it is. And I'll also put it in the chat room. So if you put that in your browser, works well with Google Chrome, and you follow that link, then you'll be able to, I'll bring you in so you can say hi and practice your English speaking. We'd love to speak to you. Okay, what's next?
Well, the Pelon says we can see the big picture of the world in this moment.
Back to square one.
Back to
the drawing board.
Back to the drawing board. I think this is yours, no? Back to square one.
Okay, back to square one is back to the beginning. Have you ever played that game, Snakes and Ladders? I don't know what it is in Spanish, where you roll the dice and then you climb the ladder.
Yeah.
And then if you go on a snake, you go down the snake and then up the ladder.
Yeah.
Subes la escalera y bajas por el serpiente. What's that in Spanish?
I don't know.
Snakes and Ladders.
Haven't heard about this.
You never played it? It's really good. It's fun for children.
La Oca. Somebody knows. Yes, La Oca. Yeah, this is true. This is. I didn't know that because I never.
There's one. Oh, you should play it. Ask Mark to teach you how to play it. So there's a snake that takes you to the beginning, to square number one. So if you go back to square number one, then you start again from the beginning. And if you're doing a project, for example, and you see that their project is bad, it's not making progress, and you need to start again, you go back to square one, or you go back to the drawing board. So if you're designing a car, for example, and the car doesn't work, then you have to clean the board, go back to the drawing board, and begin again from the beginning. So those two expressions are used in business: to go back to square one, to start from the beginning, or to go back to the drawing board and think again.
Because you fail in something, no? You fail basically, and then you have to start again. Not very nice, but necessary, no?
Mamen, it's good to see you here. It's been a long time. That's a friend of mine from the north of Spain. Hiya.
Okay.
La Oca, yes.
Yes.
Of course, they know how to play Snakes and Ladders.
Yeah.
La Oca.
Similar to La Oca.
What's next? To think outside the box. That's for you.
But this is very difficult to translate. Now people are translating this sentence. I think it's very American, by the way.
Yes,
this is some kind of coaching kind of sentence that you have to think outside the box, right? To get clients, for example, typical for business. So in Spanish, we are translating like compensar fuera de la caja, but it doesn't make sense. So what you have to say is like to use more imagination, creativity. When you are, for example, trying to get clients, when you're starting a business, you have to think outside the box because there is too much competition going on. And then if you think like in the standard way, like everybody thinks, then it's very difficult that they pay attention to what you're doing. So it's literally think outside the box. It's like everybody has a box, an idea that is the same, and nobody thinks further than that. You go to another place. If you get out of that box, you probably are going to have very good ideas. So I'm going to ask Craig, give me an example when you thought outside the box and it worked. You always think outside the box, actually, because you were one of the first websites online that did English and Spanish. And so
I think you were the first. When did you start El Blog para Aprender Inglés? Which year?
I started in 2006.
2001, yeah.
Yeah, you see, I knew he thought outside the box because at that time, nobody thought about teaching English online. Nobody from the Spanish-speaking world. Okay, so he was one of the first ones, I would say. So you started 5 years before, no?
Yes, but I can't take the credit for that because in a nutshell, it was my business partner, Luis, who thought of the idea of the Mansión del Inglés, and I joined after the Mansión del Inglés had started. So it was my partner, Luis, who thought outside the box. But we can do that with you, and I think I have a good example. And you watching at the moment live, I need your help because let's think outside the box, which is also lateral thinking. Lateral means to the side. So you're not thinking as people normally think. You're thinking in a different way. Now, let's say, for example, there's a brick. Brick is ladrillo in Spanish. What can you do with a brick? Thinking outside the box. Now, obviously, you can use bricks to build a house. But there are other uses for a brick. So thinking outside the box, can you please write in the chat box different ways of using a brick? How many different ways can we think of for using a brick? And we'd like to hear what you think. Yes, Gemma, it's being original. Sorry, Chema, not Gemma. It's being original. It's thinking differently, thinking outside the box, thinking creatively.
I was saying, Pilar says, salir de tu zona de confort. That's another sentence. Get out of your comfort zone. That's not exactly the same.
It's not the same.
Because it is related, maybe, because sometimes to think outside the box, it means that you have to get out of your comfort zone, but it not necessarily, no? So that's why it's not exactly the same. Pensar fuera de la caja. Well, don't say that. That's Rodrigo saying that. Is when you think differently in a particular situation. Somebody.
Hello, stranger.
Who is this? Who got in?
This is Mamen. If she can hear us, can you hear us, Mamen?
Hello. You brought her in.
Yes.
You brought her in. Hello, Mamen. Where are you?
Can you hear us?
No. You cannot hear us.
Just a bit. It's like like a robot.
You sound like a robot. You sound like the Terminator. What's happened to you?
One more.
I think it's the sound quality is not good. No.
She's trying again. But she's an IT expert, so I'm sure she'll fix it. So any ideas about a brick? Maybe I can help you. If you have lots of books on the shelf, you can use 2 bricks as bookends to stop your books from falling over. So thinking out the box, yes, you can use bricks to build houses, but you can also use bricks to keep your books on the shelf. Can you think of other ways to use a brick? I have a list of about 10 here.
Yeah, if you really think about it, you're going to come up with many ideas. But lately, what I do is just Google it. I'm very lazy.
That's thinking inside. That's thinking inside the box.
Because there are a lot of people that already thought what to do with the brick. So maybe, yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Back, Mom, and you're now we can see you better. No,
she's trying.
Yeah. So it goes very slowly.
No ideas for thinking outside the box?
Yeah. No. Leave your comfort zone. Leave is correct. Or go out of your comfort zone also. Comfort.
Okay, while we're waiting, I'll give you another one. So there's you could use it as a weapon. You can hit someone with it. You can throw it. You can, if someone breaks into your house, a brick is very heavy, so you can fight with it. You can throw it.
Yeah, this is the first idea I had.
As a weapon.
As a weapon, yeah. But I thought this is not a very nice idea, so I'm not going to say it.
What? What's this? As a tree tien? I don't know what you mean there, Gemma. Tree tien. I'm sorry, don't understand that. And trivet, I don't understand that either. You can use it to draw straight lines with a pencil, or right angles, 90 degrees. You can use it.
But the ruler will work much better than the brick. You can use it to heat up your house also, because you can use 3 or 4 bricks and then put some candle, and then you have some kind of stove for cooking or for heating up your home.
Rodrigo, it's not exactly having a different opinion. It's more being creative and thinking of ways that other people don't normally think about. Problem solving problems in a creative way is thinking outside the box.
Look at what Sylvia says. I put a brick under the table because
it isn't good. A move.
So yeah, well, you can use it to stabilize the table that is moving too much,
Exactly. That's a good, especially on the beach. If you have like an umbrella, you could put the brick on the umbrella to stop it blowing away in the wind. You could have 3 bricks like this and make a table, like a small table with bricks. You could use it to keep your door open.
And you can also use it to warm your feet, because if you put it in the oven and then you wrap it with something, there was an old way to, there are better ways to do that, but in case you don't have it.
Gemma says to throw the brick is easy to think. Yeah, I can think of a few people I'd like to throw the brick at.
Can be used as a bed base.
Yes, Mum, and you can use it as a bed base. Yeah, I'm sorry I couldn't bring you in. I think it's your internet connection, perhaps, or if you're using Safari, then try again with. It works better with Google Chrome.
Yes.
So yeah, that's thinking outside the box, thinking of creative ways to use things.
This is a good idea. He says, Chema says, to avoid burning the table when you put the hot pan, no?
Yes, I like it.
Very
good.
A good idea. Yeah.
Or to sharpen a knife in the kitchen, make your knife sharp with a brick. Or if you crush the brick, you can use it as sand, arena. So you can make sand from a brick. That's thinking outside the box.
You can fill a hole, also, if there's a problem. You can use it to prepare anything, usually to repair.
You see, Monica, we have such a creative group of students here, and they're all thinking outside the box, which is fantastic. Okay, what's the next one?
The next one is something I think we also use that in Spanish now, to brainstorm. Brainstorm.
You say that in Spanish, the same?
I think everybody knows this term, because this is very common now to say una tormenta de ideas, but actually it doesn't exist in Spanish like tormenta ideas, but you can say to exchange ideas, no? Intercambiar ideas. If you have a meeting, there are these brainstorm, because it can be an adjective, a brainstorm meeting, no? So we can say that we are going to meet only to think about different ideas, no? And it's very creative and very good sometimes to brainstorm. For example, Craig and we can meet and brainstorm some ideas for this Facebook Live, no? In the future, no? What do you think we should do? Should we do have a quiz, or different ideas to brainstorm?
Let's brainstorm now. Let's try and brainstorm for our next session together. And if we can ask the people here now to give us ideas, and ask them to think outside the box and tell us what we can discuss and what we can help you with next time we do a Facebook Live. So what do you think? Let's brainstorm now. Tell us what you'd like us to look at next time.
Are there any ideas?
While we're waiting, shall we go back and recap on the ones we've looked at? So first we had to kick off, to get the ball rolling, to start something. And then?
To give someone a heads up. That means to dar un aviso.
Mm-hmm.
Avisa. Next one.
A pain point is something that is a problem for you. A pain point in technology, for example, a pain point in a product that you have, something that really causes you problems and needs to be solved or rectified.
To get to speed or bring someone up to speed. That means to update someone about something, ¿no? Ponerle al día o informar. Okay.
To green light something, think of the traffic light. So green is go. So if someone gives you the green light or gives you the go ahead, that means you can go, you can do it, you can proceed.
You have permission to do something. So deadline, I don't know what deadline. No, deadline is all together. Then to dix. To be snowed under, that means estar hasta el cuello, is usually related to work. If you're snowed under, it's because with all the work you have to do, it's because you have too much work. Okay? So.
To cut corners, to do things badly, the opposite of going the extra mile, perhaps, to do things quickly or badly. So to have a bad result because you've tried to save time or save money, to cut corners.
To go the extra mile is to do more work or more effort, to make more effort, so that you get a better result. Usually you need to go the extra mile in order to be different from the rest, no? And to get better results also. So it's the opposite of cutting corners.
In a nutshell, resumen, remember a nutshell, nueces, cáscara de nueces is very small. So if you want to summarize something, you can say in a nutshell. So I did, in a nutshell, they were sold out of what I wanted to buy. In a nutshell, they didn't have it.
The bottom line is like a conclusion. So you're talking about something and you want to say the last sentence, the conclusion, that's the bottom line. Something that summarizes everything you have said. And it's taken from accounting, actually. So
the big picture is in the long term, or if we zoom out, for example, and we see everything in context, then we see the big picture. So to see everything, which is the opposite of thinking short term, the corto plazo, you're looking at the big picture. So you're looking at not only what's going to happen in the present, but also how it's going to affect the future and affect things in a bigger way.
Back to square one, back to the drawing board. So it's back to the starting point. When you go you're involved in a project, for example, and it fails, you need to restart and start all over again. And this is like a game also that when you play board games, it's usually this idea. Sometimes you lose and you have to go back to the beginning. And that's why it's a square, because it's a draw. It's a drawing of a square. So back to square one, you start again something because you fail. So you have to try it again. No? Okay.
And thinking outside the box is thinking in a creative way. And sometimes you hear the expression lateral thinking. So you're not thinking straight as a normal person would, but you're thinking to the side and you're thinking around and you're thinking in a creative, different way, is to think outside the box. Creative.
To brainstorm, two people put lluvia de ideas. I would never say lluvia de ideas because it just sounds like a translation. But to brainstorm is use your imagination to come up with ideas that could help you solve a problem or start a project or start a business. So we usually brainstorm. And now, currently, we're now brainstorming, or we ask you, Craig just asked you to brainstorm or about topics we can talk about in future Facebook Lives. So,
do we have any ideas?
Elena says, sobre temas de estereotipos o prejuicios. I don't know if this is adjectives. What kind of, but this is not really language.
Yeah, we could. Stereotypes is interesting. So it would be like, what's your opinion of British people? What's your opinion of German people, Spanish people?
It's more like cultural than, or social than grammar. No, it's just opinions.
Yeah, national stereotypes. That's an interesting. I like that idea.
But you will have to know what would be the idea that Spanish people have about British people.
Not only British people, but if I said to you that these people or this nationality love dancing and they are really good at football and they are party people, fun-loving, very social, very friendly, what nationality are you thinking of?
Spanish.
I was thinking of Brazilians. So it's that kind of idea.
They like. You should have said one thing. You should have said carnival.
That was too easy. I thought of carnival, but that was too easy.
But yeah, I don't know if this is interesting. Stereotypes and stereotypes. I don't know if I have enough ideas about stereotypes. Sometimes the stereotypes are quite wrong also.
Mummin's referring to something that's a movie, but that's not the idea of talking about movies. I think we've spoken about movies before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I stereotypes sobre homophobia, social rejection.
That's quite heavy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
What about the present perfect? We'll have a think about it. And we'll think of something that we hope will be useful for you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry you couldn't come in and say hi, Mamin, but we need to get in touch because it's been a long time. And thank you for trying to come in and speak to us. But I think we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for being here with us and spending some time with us. And we'll be back again very soon. So do you want to mention your blog before we leave?
Yeah,
Mónica?
You can visit Blog del Inglés now. This is the new blog, and I'm updating every week there. So you'll find very useful information. Also, I will mention Skype lessons and EPI, especially for private students, and Apprentice for companies. So, and your pronunciation course, don't forget it.
Yes, there's a pronunciation course at the store at mentioningles.com, and also free courses and free material for you to practice and improve your English. And don't forget the podcast. Every Sunday, I do a podcast with my co-host. It's at inglespodcast.com. And again, thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again soon. And stay safe.
Bye-bye.
See you.